Hey everyone, it's Bob Crossan, Senior Managing Editor for Water and Waste Digest. Today I have with me Alex Harper. He is the GIS Manager for Central Arkansas Water, and much like the other videos that you will be watching this month, I am bringing you another WWD Young Pro interview. Be sure to check out our playlist in the video below, or in the description below rather, so you can learn a little bit more about each of the young professionals. We also have some links to their questionnaire answers, so you can learn a little bit more about them that way too. And yeah, check them all out. But first, let's talk to Alex. So, Alex, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pretty exciting honor to be even considered for something like this. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, congratulations. And I know that before the call you were talking a little bit about some of the other accolades that you've received recently, and that you're kind of dumbfounded a little bit by it. But
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
you're doing things really well, man.
I appreciate that. It's just yeah, can be overwhelming and you kind of feel like am I deserving? And but I guess if others are seeing it, maybe so. But it's just one of those feelings that you have whenever you get nominated or receive something like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally empathize, but know that you're here for a reason. You're an excellent young professional. So why don't we why don't we tap a little bit into your career path? Could you talk a little bit about how you got to the position you are now? Like obviously you're GIS manager for Central Arkansas Water, but you said that extends even beyond that to more regional capacity as
Yeah,
well. Talk a little bit about that experience and how you got to where you are.
sure. So for those that don't know, GIS, Geographical Information Systems, or in the new futuristic kind of terms, geospatial technology,
Yes.
is kind of how the industry is going. But I actually started out doing GIS in high school, of all places. I had no inclination or anything to really get into the water industry. I just would go get a glass and get it out of the fountain. It just was not anything that I was even wasn't on my radar. But in high school, I participated in a really special class that we had called East Lab, Environmental and Spatial Technologies, and it was a really interesting class where GIS was just one of the things that a student can go in and kind of self learn. And so I started doing that and worked on several projects in a team capacity with some other students. We would map out the school and things like that. But one project that I worked on was actually a county-wide project in the Hot Springs area, and submitted that project in as a poster to Intergraph, which was GIS company a while back, and it was their K-12 competition, and actually won the the competition, won a trophy, won a trip to their conference in Atlanta. So as a high school kid, getting to go to something like that, I attended and
Amazing.
I really saw all the different organizations and all the different people that were using GIS and location data in general has a location, and that's really what GIS taps into, and to be able to see and analyze things like that. So I just was like, man, this is going to explode. It's already being used here. And so I started looking for degrees. At the time, there wasn't a lot of degrees unless you got a geography degree, but
Hmm.
the University of Arkansas at Monticello had a bachelor's program in spatial information systems, and they had a land surveying side and they had a GIS side. And they're a big forestry school. So again, nothing to do with water other than water the trees and things like that. And so I went through the program there, received my bachelor's in spatial information systems, and actually started my first career position as a GIS technician for Pulaski Area GIS, Pages. And Pages was how it is housed inside of the Central Arkansas Water building. They're a separate entity. Part of the duties of the GIS manager for CAW is to actually oversee and manage Pages. They're still a CAW employee. They're not a Pages employee, but they oversee. It's a really unique kind of agreement that Pages CAW has.
Hmm.
Um, and so that's where I was really introduced into the water industry, because I was around those that in the water company here at CAW. Worked with the engineers and our distribution staff, and really got to know some folks. And I knew as soon as I could, I needed to get over in the water industry.
Hmm.
GIS is big in utilities, and so I decided, hey, I need to get over to CAW. The people are great. What they provide, the essential service that they provide, is exceptional, and that's kind of the motto, to provide that essential and exceptional service.
Hmm.
So I was able to move over. A position come open in the GIS department, and in that position was a GIS database coordinator position. I got to work firsthand with our distribution crews, our maintenance and treatment plant crews, watershed, customer service. GIS just really touches all aspects here
Yeah.
at CAW, and was able to provide and create tools for our folks in the field to be able to do their position. Our mindset is those try to think about those folks that are out in the pouring down rain at 2 o'clock in the morning needing to locate a valve to shut off, right? That actually changed last year when we had 18 inches of snow and pipes were freezing. And so we kind of changed, hey, we need to think about those folks that are out there in that freezing cold. They need to locate the mains and the valves and get things shut off. And
Hmm.
so it's really neat to see how we get to interact with just not one area but all areas in the utility. So
It
yeah.
sound it sounds really interesting. It sounds like no 2 days are necessarily the same because you get to work with a bunch of different entities. Is that something that draws you into like coming to work every day as well, or is
A-
it more than that? Is it the
Absolutely.
actual work itself?
It's it's one of those things where you can have a schedule and it's like, hey, we're going to check these off today, and you don't even get to them.
Hmm.
And not only that on the water side, but again, as the CAW GIS manager, I also manage Pulaski Area GIS. The folks over there have great staffs on both sides, and the Pages staff, they almost run themselves. But over there we provide the base map data. So not only am I on the CAW side working with the water assets, but we're working with the streets and the addressing and the buildings, um, parks, all of the base map layers for the Pulaski area. They are creating and maintaining for entities like CAW and the city of Little Rock, and Little Rock Water Reclamation, and North Little Rock Wastewater. So I'm working with wastewater utilities as well,
Wow.
and North Little Rock Electric and Pulaski County. They're all members of Pages, and so not just the water side, but seeing also the local government side of things is really interesting. So that really makes no 2 days the same.
Yeah.
And that's the exciting part about it, though, is you just never know what you're going to be doing, and just
Hmm.
seeing so many different people use the data that we provide is really exciting.
Yeah, you sound really far ahead compared to some other like cities around the country in terms of that interconnectivity, that smart city mindset. It just does seem from the conversations that I've had, you guys are a little bit further ahead in that regard because you're centralizing this data for all of these entities, which is um, something
Yeah.
that a lot of people struggle with, from my understanding.
It,
So,
it, and it really goes back to the late 80s, early 90s, when Pages was really formed.
hmm.
There was two separate water utilities at the time here: Little Rock Water, Little Rock Municipal Water, and North Little Rock Water merged to create CAW, Central Arkansas Water, in the early 2000s. But they saw a need of a shared base map, and
Hmm.
that really expanded on, okay, it's not just base map now, but we need to be sharing data amongst each other so we know where the mains are, the wastewater mains, and if we can get the electric companies on board, and the fiber, that would be great, and the gas companies, but just having data and being able to share data. Arkansas in a whole does a really awesome job of sharing GIS data. But here in Central Arkansas, I mean, we go even a step further,
Yeah.
and it's just really great.
So what's been your favorite project so far that you've been a part of? For doing this, it sounds like for quite some time, and even having some time with high school work too. I'm sure that there's a
Yeah.
couple different projects along the way you're like, man, that was so much fun.
So the one that I'm working on right now that we're fixing to just really kick the tires and get going, actually go live with it, is a water outage notification solution. So
Ooh.
tying in our GIS, our assets, our meters, and our mains into our customer contact information from our billing system. So we have integrations built between the systems. So a meter,
Hmm.
who is paying that bill, so we can join those um, features together. And the solution that we've got created, you can actually put a flag on a main where a outage is occurring, so where a main break is, and it goes upstream and downstream from that break and tells the field crews which valves to operate. And it picks all of the meters along the way and gives a list of those meters to dispatch or whoever. And we can notify those customers that there's an outage happening right here, right now. And we
Wow.
have a couple of different solutions available for that. So that one is just really exciting to me because it's tying so much in. It's important to the customers to know that there's an outage, so we have some customer interaction there.
Yeah.
Um,
That's
so
really
that's the one
incredible.
just right on the forefront of my mind. Yeah. One of the other ones that I've had a lot of time in, I started at CAW in 2008, and we actually started with our work order management system, CityWorks, at that time.
Hmm.
And so I've had my elbows deep in CityWorks. That's where we track all of our work on our assets, and that has been exciting because I've been able to interact with all of those field personnel,
Hmm.
helping them, make sure that they have everything they need. They're using iPads now out in the field to be able to
Yeah.
enter in work tickets and things like that. So those are the two big ones that I've kind of have really enjoyed the work that I've done on.
Yeah, they sound like a lot of fun. I'm sure there's lots of really intricate problems that comes with each of them that presents a lot of challenges, but that's kind of part of the fun, I would imagine too.
It is, yeah.
So I want to pivot a little bit. So well, actually, not too much of a pivot. But before the call, we were talking about how you're currently in the process interviewing people to hire, and I'm kind of curious on your thoughts on like your generation for the water industry, how that affects things, and I'll ask you about what you think the next generation will do in the down the line tier too. But yeah, talk a little bit about like what values do you think your generation brings to the water industry, and how do you think that's going to propel things as we move forward?
That's a really good question because you think of generations, and I think there's generations inside of generations. So you have a
Yeah.
group, that are, of course, you try to group everybody together, but I think there's groups inside of those groups, and I feel like
100%.
um, I feel like our my generation is really bringing that innovative work, those innovative solutions,
Hmm.
innovative thought process to solving these problems, that same type of problems that we've had for years. I think that's what our generation is bringing, and it's not
Hmm.
just the 9 to 5 or 7 to 4 or whatever the work day is. It's as we're getting things done before hours, after hours, that real flexible work schedule, getting the job done, but providing those innovative solutions. And I know innovation is a big buzzword and all of that, but I really do see it coming out in our group, uh, especially.
Yeah, I can totally see it from the things that you've already talked about that you've been working on and how Pages has been working on these things for a long time. You can clearly see the evolution and innovation and iteration, I think too, is a great word to describe some of
Oh
what you've
yeah,
been doing, right? So
yeah.
it is really cool, and seeing all these digital technologies being able to feed into one another and connect things together is very cool too. Pivoting now, actually truly trying to pivot away from your work a little bit, I wanted to ask you about some of your hobbies and stuff. Like, what are some of the things that you like to do outside of work when you're not totally and wired up with GIS in your brain? What are you liking to do? What do you like
Well,
to do on the weekends, and what do you like to do for fun?
well, I love the outdoors, and my family we've grown up in hunting and fishing, and here in Arkansas is a big thing.
Oh yeah.
I really love the outdoors and getting out. Um, I especially use it as kind of a decompress, just kind of get your mind off of everything. And I think we coming through this pandemic, especially, I know a lot of people have been burned out. I know people have left their positions and things like that. So, I really enjoy getting outside and, um, hunting, fishing. I have a beautiful wife and three kids. So, spending as much time with them. Um, they have some birthdays coming up here pretty soon. And actually, one has a birthday later this week, and two of them have a birthdays on the same day next week. So, planning birthday parties and just getting to spend time with them is awesome. And I'm a big baseball fan, so I follow the St. Louis Cardinals. I think I was a St. Louis Cardinal fan whenever I
Okay.
was born, but the Arkansas Razorbacks here in Arkansas is a big thing. And, watching the Razorbacks play is another thing. So that's, just a few things that I enjoy to do.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. Arkansas, when I think about it, there is a lot of really great outdoors things you can do between hunting and fishing and hiking and biking.
Hiking.
A lot of
Yeah.
great opportunity. And
Yeah,
and to
absolutely.
yeah, and to share it with your kids has got to be really fun too.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're from 10 to 1 is their age gap. And so we get to do all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, so some currently enjoying it more than others. Is what you're trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
So, last question here is it was about the next generation, like I had mentioned. I'm curious what your thoughts are about how to cater to that next generation of water worker. Obviously, working in GIS and having this technology is really beneficial, and I think that that's a great way to bring kids into the industry. But what are some of the ways that you consider um, important things that what things do you consider important to highlight when you're looking to bring in that next generation of water worker? How do you want to cater to them?
It's going to be very important that we figure out how to. Right now, we're seeing, I know, especially in the GIS industry, we're seeing a lot of jobs that are open, but
Hmm.
they're the skill out there is not there. I don't know if that starts at the university level or where that comes from, but we've got to figure out a better way of demonstrating what we do and the importance of what we do, not just in GIS, but the water industry in general too. I feel like we've got to highlight those young professionals like what y'all are doing. I think it's great
Hmm.
because as people will see, what we're able to do. I think that only adds more interest to what we do. It's take something that maybe is not flashy type of work, but it adds that little bit of flash to it. To You just got to highlight just how important certain tasks are, certain things are. The water industry, especially, is you see it out west right now. The water issues that they're having out west. Fortunately, here in Arkansas, we're not having to deal with a lot of that yet, but it could eventually be here too. So we've got to continue to highlight those, but we've got to reach into those younger generations and try to figure out how to make things look flashier or how to pinpoint more on the importance of water comes from somewhere. It doesn't just come out of the faucet. So
Hmm.
where does it come from?
Yeah.
Um,
So not only highlighting water's value, but the value they bring to making water valuable,
to
right?
making water. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, that's a great answer. And it falls in line with a lot of answers that I'm hearing too. They all kind of feed together. They're all a little bit different, but that one
Sure.
is really specific on the value side of things. I think that an important thing for people to consider. So, Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much, Alex. It's been great talking to you. It's your projects sound
yeah,
awesome. I'd love to talk to you more about them. Maybe we can do that another time. Actually, get into the details on your projects, because
yeah. I
that'd be a
would
lot
love
of
to.
fun too. Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
love to do that too. But thank you once again, and for everyone who's watching, again, check out the video description below. We have a playlist for more video interviews just like this one, as well as the Q&As that are all written up with their responses as well. So check that out. And Alex, once more, thank you so much for being here.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it.